Have you ever seriously thought about some of the nicknames we give to our beloved big cities? It makes sense why more people are depressed now than at any other time in human history. When given a second thought, it almost blows your mind. Let's take New York City, for example. The city that never sleeps? Seriously? Are we proud of the fact that New Yorkers are so sleep deprived? How about Chicago? The Windy City? Wind equals cold equals everyone is miserable. It's basic science, people. Philly? The city of brotherly love? What about the rest of the family? I bet they feel really left out. We could go on for days, folks. Some say that all of the fun happens in the big cities, but those people haven't been to these next 7 places. From the weather to poor job markets to just feeling like you can't even ask for help. These are the 7 most depressing major cities in the United States. Number 1, Portland, Oregon, with a depression rate of 24.5%. Oh, Portland, has keeping it weird gotten the best of you? We hate to see your residents on these lists year after year. Or is Portland a victim of a chicken or egg situation when it comes to reporting the rates of depression? One issue we will discuss with later populations is the social stigma that often acts as a barrier to people reporting depression in the first place. It is entirely plausible that people in Portland feel less stigmatized and in turn are more likely to report depression symptoms. Either way, Portland, Reagan was still in office the last time you were not on this list. It's tough to stay happy and positive in Portland when it rains for weeks on end and you haven't felt the sunshine. A lot of people say that it is cliche to blame the weather for feeling blue in Portland or Oregon for that matter. However, seasonal affective disorder is a widely accepted and rigorously studied psychological diagnosis. What people used to call the winter blues is now being treated as any other physical disease, just like diabetes or high blood pressure. Those of us born in an area with any sort of winter can sympathize. There is just something about those dark days that can bring you down. Number 2, Nashville, Tennessee, with a depression rate of 23.9%. It's hard to argue with Nashville's city slogan of the Music City. Oh, wait, what if the music playing throughout the city is super duper sad music that brings everyone down? Boom! I don't know why that's so fulfilling. Anyway, if Nashville seems like a surprising city, it's probably because you have heard or read about how the city is booming currently. It's true. The city's population is growing larger each year as more and more people move to states with lesser tax burdens. But it's like a famous rapper once said, "Mo people, mo problems." Nashville was a city built on an infrastructure to hold a specific amount of people. It has exceeded that limit, and unfortunately, the people are the ones who are suffering for it. Local reports have revealed some dirty little secrets the Nashville higher-ups would not want us to know. Like, Nashville residents have been living in a heaping pile of garbage. Literally. The trash service in Nashville has been having difficulty keeping up with the amount of trash coming in. Trash is piling up everywhere, and rats have started to infest certain neighborhoods. Living in trash-infested neighborhoods with rats is definitely a reason to be sad. And the people of Nashville are even willing to walk the trash to neighbors with a lesser trash burden. The only problem is, Nashville has grown so fast that only 37% of the neighborhoods have sidewalks. That's an embarrassing statistic for such a modern metropolis such as Nashville. It's time that the city of Nashville invests resources into redesigning the infrastructure to meet the demands of modern-day life. Number 3, Seattle, Washington, with a depression rate of 23.1%. For many of the same reasons as Portland, Seattle has been a poster city for depression since the early 90s. Let's see, lots of rain, check. Little sunshine, check. Crappy coffee, check. Okay, maybe that last one was a little out of line, but it's time that people stop talking about the weather in the Pacific Northwest. please ignore the previous Portland segment. Give Seattle a little more credit. This city is doing a lot more than having bad weather to make citizens depressed. Just take the homelessness issue in Seattle. Not only is the homelessness an issue that obviously impacts the levels of depression, and Seattle has the second highest homeless population in the country, mind you, but the means by which politicians solve the homeless issue has caused such division that the people have given up faith in the government. Many Seattle residents look around the city and see the super rich on one street and then the homeless on the next street over, feeling hopeless to better the city, and people around you will surely be a bummer. Chin up, Seattle. A beautiful city like yours always rebounds. Speaking of rebounding, I bet if the NBA brought back the Supersonics, that would help. We all long for the good old days with slam dunk phenom Shawn Kemp. Number 4. Louisville, Kentucky, with a depression rate of 22.9%. Don't you ever have the type of day that makes you want to swing a Louisville slugger through the wall? No? Oh, well, we were kidding. Never mind. The people of Louisville have punched a pillow or two. They know what I'm talking about. Have you ever heard of something called stuck in the middle syndrome? Probably not. We just made it up, but it describes a major issue facing Louisville natives and receiving mental health help. Louisville is a city that is often considered the center of the country, a quote-unquote cultural crossroads between the North and the South. Historically, northern states have much higher rates of mental illness than the South, but those trends are starting to change. Louisville is experiencing the problems of a northern city. Without having generations of solutions to those problems like northern cities, the per capita rate of therapists is unusually low in the entire state of Kentucky. Many residents are facing outrageous waiting times when making an appointment, and the stigma of admitting to depression still prevents many people from making an appointment in the first place. Simply unacceptable. Number 5. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, with a depression rate of 22.6%. If it's really always sunny in Philadelphia, why are so many people depressed? The Eagles won a Super Bowl recently and are primed to get another one this year. The Phillies lost in the World Series, but at least they made it. The days of pelting Santa Claus with snowballs are over. However, if you dig a little deeper, you'll find the culprit, as often as it is, big business. Sorry, big business, it may not be your fault completely, but since the 1970s and 80s, the well-paying blue-collar jobs that were available to many Philadelphians just disappeared. General Electronics, also known as GE, one of the city's largest employers, closed its plant in 2002. Philadelphia Energy Solutions shut down in 2021, and over 1,000 workers lost their jobs when that happened. These are just two examples of the depressing trend in the city of brotherly love. What are the byproducts of fewer and fewer blue-collar job opportunities? Depression and despair. Factory workers who depend on those jobs are left without options. Younger generations of workers who thought their future was at the factory are not prepared or educated for other industries, and the damage reverberates through families and generations. Number 6. Columbus, Ohio, with a depression rate of 21.9%. Okay, this one should be very easy. I hate to do this to you Buckeyes, it's just too obvious. Losing to Michigan and Georgia by 1 point in the playoffs must have really stung. And that concludes our portion on depression in Columbus. We kid, Columbus. With that said, experts believe that one of the reasons so many people are depressed in Columbus is a lack of sleep. 42% of residents are getting less than 7 hours of sleep at night. Must be all that late night cramming OSU students are doing. Countless studies have shown that a lack of sleep can be directly linked to depression. More and more doctors are prescribing quote-unquote beauty sleep as a means to treat depression. And unfortunately for city residents, finding a therapist might be tougher than you think. Columbus and the entire state of Ohio have an alarming lack of mental health professionals. From 2013 to 2020, Demand for behavioral health services increased by a whopping 357%, while the workforce to meet those demands only increased by 174%. 2.4 million Ohioans live in an area without enough available help. A majority of those people live in the Columbus area, of course. Number 7, Oklahoma City in Oklahoma, with a depression rate of 21.9%. Ready to annoy every single Oklahoma City resident by cheaply stereotyping them all as cowboys? Yeah, we are too. Yeehaw! We're not making any friends with this list, but it's time for some good old-fashioned tough talk, OKC. We'll use our words and not our six-shooters. All cheesy cowboy jokes aside, OKC residents are facing similar changes that Nashville and Louisville citizens are experiencing. Asking for help in OKC is often seen as weak. So, instead of seeking treatment, many individuals with depression are left untreated. Then they in turn impact the people around them. Then the vicious cycle continues on and on. And sadly, many experts consider Oklahoma City natives to be one of the most traumatized populations of the last 30 years. In 1995, one of the deadliest domestic terrorist attacks occurred at the federal building in OKC. A car bomb was set off, killing 168 people and injuring almost 700. It was a day that forever changed the lives of so many people in that city and around the entire country. It goes without saying that one of the byproducts of an event like that is trauma. When so much trauma is not resolved, it can permeate through a society, just like it has in OKC. The good news is that there is an intense push right now for education and resources to help those impacted by the tragedy. Let us cross our fingers together that people are given the help they need in OKC. So you see, folks, it isn't all about the weather. There are plenty of other reasons why people in large cities struggle with depression. Thank you for watching our video today. In all seriousness, if you know anyone who is suffering from depression, please reach out to them. Sometimes even the smallest gestures can change someone's life. These were the 7 most depressing major U.S. cities. We appreciate you watching, and please have a great day or night.